my favorite pet is now because I hit it? Brace. If you think someone's... I got Mbappe. You can go off for a brace. I got him at 8-1. Huge.
All in? I'm a fan of the Jets. I'm a fan of the Jets. The Jets. The Jets. Why this team? The Jets. Ah, the Jets! The Jets!
Greetings to all. Welcome to 2022. Omicron is on the run, and away it went. But oops, there goes gravity, and here comes a new variant. Omaha, Corona, Hut 1, Hut 2, nothing infects the Super Bowl, and nothing stops football.
Racism, greed, trauma to brain and spine. And yet, I cannot look away. Heroes are dead. Science has their heads. Oh, is there no escape from here? I need to know. It eats my soul. Nothing stops me and is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's human cockfighting. CTE prayer circles. They blackballed the blackballer. They tried to end racism by stenciling it in the end zone. Billionaire boys using millionaires as toys. It's all immoral, all unethical. Ooh, the witching hour. Nothing stops the NFL. Is this heaven or hell? I can't tell. It's Urban and Snyder and Flores and Gruden, but Kyler, but Kelsey, but Cooper, but Canton. It's cheating and tanking and bounties and banking.
I don't think in our lifetimes it's ever been quite like this, where we're coming in on a Monday to talk about one kind of football, and since 5 a.m. there are goals galore in the sport that's only played once every 4 years. And I'm assuming, right, that Cowboys Giants did the number that it did because Fox and because the World Cup is all around it.
How myopic of you. They play this sport every year, Dan.
Feels like nonstop. The season seemed never ending.
Pretty much nonstop.
You know what I'm saying. We've never had these games that matter all over the place spilling into your mornings. You're getting up with shakes. A 3-1 game is 3-3, and you're going crazy because the group stage, it's too much sports. It's too much.
It's not. There's never too much sports.
Stugotz, it's too much. You can't.
There's never enough, to be quite honest with you. The reason the Cowboys and Giants got that number was because Thanksgiving, because it's a good matchup. It's Dallas. It's the Giants. You just eaten dinner. You're about to eat dinner. What else you gonna do? I'm not certain how much it had to do with soccer. The soccer's been fun. I've enjoyed it. Even the games with no goals, I've kind of enjoyed. I got to be honest with you.
I know it's morally abhorrent, but I still love this competition. Oh my God, almost incredibly dramatic. Okay. But the NFL experience yesterday for me as a huge soccer fan and someone that is always going to prioritize the World Cup. It happens once every 4 years. The NFL experience was very bizarre for me. I almost had nothing left for the NFL, and there were good finishes. That a Jags-Ravens game was nuts. The Browns-Buccaneers game was tight till the very end. We had a near draw in that game, and God, I would have loved to have made that joke as everyone was complaining about them.
Yeah, the Chargers and Cardinals. You had the Seahawks and Raiders. You had some good games.
From a local team perspective, the University of Miami had a really tight, interesting, entertaining hoops game. Miami Heat had an interesting, tight basketball game. And I just had nothing left. I was just passed out on my couch.
You don't have anything for Caleb Martin guarding Bradley Beal on the perimeter to win a game, locking him down. You didn't have the energy for it?
No, I guess I only have so much bandwidth and emotion and energy for this as I'm getting older. It's hard. I don't like the World Cup happening during the winter. I hate it because it takes away from all the other sports. After Spain, Germany, for me, I just want to talk about that game going into the witching hour of the NFL. It was too much.
Even so, Justin Tucker is running out during the witching hour to kick a 67-yard field goal, and we're all like, Chris Cody, was it how many 65 consecutive field goals made in fourth quarter and overtime? Was it 65?
65,
so,
yes.
And so that game's crazy at the end between two teams that are kind of the same but have opposite records. Because that sport is weird. The last 10 minutes of game are amazing. You're like, Lamar Jackson's the MVP of the league. Oh, can I win with him in the playoffs because there are 5 other guys?
There's just nothing like it. And I know Canada fell on their face, but the excitement that surrounded Canada's first goal against Croatia is just unmatched. You just look around the room and you just say, or bar that you're at, and you just say, there is nothing like this on the planet. We were at Bottled Blonde, as we are for all the U.S. men's national team games, and we had the conversation afterwards. For the neutral, if you're Canadian, if you're from Bolivia, you're watching that game, you're saying, wow, what a drab affair, nothing really to write home about. But everyone in a bar just living and dying with near chances, and you feel thoroughly entertained by a game that really lacked chances but wasn't light on drama. There's just nothing like it because the buildup takes so long, because you have to follow a generation of players, because if you miss out on the group stages, it's a waste. the stakes couldn't be higher for it. I just love it so much. The national pride, the drama. The NBA does drama almost better than anybody in NBA playoffs, and this is just game 7 after game 7 after game 7. It's too much to follow it with a witching hour. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it at all. Also, the beer farts were just at another level.
I'm sure.
My wife yesterday, she was like, "You farted a lot today," and I was like, "It has been a 3 days. Not even the Thanksgiving meal. We're not even
banner
talking about
weekend.
that."
You can't give me a World Cup during Thanksgiving. You can't. You can't. My car smells like a landfill.
Oh, I'm sure. Chris, was there a particular fart in which you just had to say something like it's just you crossed the line?
Well, we're here now, so I'll go into detail. On Saturday, they had a smell to them.
Yeah.
By Sunday, they were just, still doing the, but they just weren't smelling anymore. You know what? You know if it smells when you let it go.
You ever have a fart that you smelled and you're like, oh, this is probably not good for me to smell.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably dangerous. The
Yet somehow
methane coming from this might... I may need to tell my doctor what I've been exposed to.
Yet somehow I enjoy it.
It is
Everyone loves their own brand.
It is one of the best feelings of this one's going to smell bad and then just waiting for the room.
Stugotz,
or the plane.
Stugotz, I can't help but be slightly mortified at 50 years old.
Yeah.
How this is the only thing that truly ignites you anymore. Like, oh, a fart conversation is broken
a good
out.
fart conversation.
Let me get in here and add all of my opinions and contributions because I've been waiting for one of these.
I'm like the cagey vet, Dan, because all these guys now are going through all the things I've went through for the last 20 years, and I enjoy hearing about their experiences. When they're farting and their wife is upset about it and they're watching football and they probably should be doing something with their kids. I love it.
Dan, you don't have a fart relationship with your wife?
Chris Cody, you cannot. No is the answer to your question.
You've never farted in front of your wife?
And not this way. Not like
which way?
Not
There's
with
only
pride?
one way to fart.
Not where my wife would say, Dan, you've really farted a lot today.
You haven't had a Saturday where you get in the drink around noon, you eat a bad meal, you get into the drink in the evening. That Sunday morning, you've never had it's all coming out of me.
What do you do? Like, do you go to the bathroom? This is alarming. I mean, if you can't be yourself with your wife, who can you be yourself with?
It's not that. It's because you guys, for the love of
man.
God.
Oh, you respect her.
Wait, Val's never been caught in a Dutch oven?
No.
What?
Dovin.
Do you even sleep together?
Does Val fart?
No.
Have you ever
What?
been caught? You've never been caught?
Everyone farts, Dan.
Impossible that you've never been in a Dutch oven.
It's not impossible. That's not. I'm sorry. I'm so repressed for you guys.
You just eat grass?
I eat according to blood allergies, and so now if I have a black
Boring.
bean, okay, here we go.
No,
I give you the
he
explanation.
probably has a
live.
rich
I mean-
person bed that filters the scent out.
That's what it
Oh,
is.
fart bed.
That's
Yeah,
what it is.
fart
That's
bed.
it.
Wow.
You really
That's-
think rich
it's
people
ca-
have
it's
Dutch
called-
ovens?
It's
No.
called a fartograph.
They
Yes,
have
it's
Is there a
sheets
deal
that
on those
filter the
today?
scent out.
On Super Bowl Monday, you mean to tell me that your farts don't smell?
I am not a prodigious stinky farter, Mike. I don't know what to tell
But
you.
Super Bowl Monday.
I'm here every day with you guys in tight quarters. You don't think you'd know that? Like I'm.
But
I'm,
you look
I'm
like
here
a farter, though.
You do.
I'm 6 hours a day in this hot box with Stugotz. I've been doing it for 20 years. You don't think that at some point something, if I was having stomach problems, a breakfast, a lunch, we've done every time of day. You don't think that at some point Stugotz would have great complaints about you've been a stinky farter? We've been doing this.
You would.
He's dropping his bona fides.
Yeah, bona
Yeah.
fides.
Really?
Okay, so you're not a farter.
Come to think of it, I don't think he's ever farted like in the
No,
studio.
I caught one before, back when he changed his diet, back in the old Miami Gardens one. That was legendary.
Oh, he cleared out the entire
There was- there
station.
was
Yeah, we all remember that one.
We all had to go outside.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember now.
You remember that one, Dan?
Yeah. No
I
one
could,
said
I
anything.
could still taste it.
They call it the fart. I mean, it's like the drive. I mean,
It's echoed for 15 years. How old is that fart? Like the drive. How old is it?
I think it's like 15 years, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean,
Jessica, your football
I thought you were
takeaway.
going to say your farts. I was like, no, we don't have to.
Well, the thing is, he
We've
did it
been-
into
we've
a
done this
radio
already.
station chair that everyone had shared. So it's not just you're getting that fart, but you also got farts from years prior.
right.
You got Josh Friedman's farts.
All
you
the
got,
Fritos
you got Joe
farts.
Rosa's farts.
Yeah.
You got everybody there, and this cushion that had absorbed everybody's farts just kind of helped aid it along and
I mean,
waft it through the air.
Frito and the big dog. I mean, that is a chair right there. Wow.
You guys
and Boog.
You guys are.
Looks like a farter.
I want to make sure I have this allegation correct, okay? Because this has never been spoken about till right now, and I thought it was going to be part of the oral history of 790. I can't believe you're sharing this vintage material with the audience. The unspoken fart that you're telling me echoed through a seat across many years, correct? Across.
It was a really bad fart. It's certainly one of the more memorable experiences I've had experiencing someone else's fart. Let me work on that top 5.
I'm gonna work on mine too.
Jessica,
There's so many at Lollapalooza that you have no idea.
in the middle of football and football yesterday, as Mike and Whittingham are delirious and spinning out because there's no time for Michigan, Ohio State. It's too much. Did you have time for Michigan, Ohio State, or no?
It was on one TV off to the side, but no, I don't have time really for anything. I kept an eye on it, but I'm just so obsessed with this thing. You know what I did? Instead of watching the NFL Red Zone during halftime, if you're witty, of Spain and Germany, I watched El Chiringuito. I just watched a bunch of people screaming into their Twitch screens about what I had just experienced because
it's better than the other broadcasting, is it not?
it is, and I don't know how they get away with it because there has to be some sort of rights violation. They're just doing play-by-play. But it's great. It's all the same cast of characters, and it's shot like ECW 1997 with the cinematography of just like zooming in and zooming out. Please, just I'll license the brand name from you. I want an American Chiringuito that is produced the exact same way. The drama of it all.
Why not you?
I would love to do that.
Why aren't you guys doing
would
it
love
that
to
way?
do that.
Why isn't morally abhorrent being done
Our
that
cameras
way?
are too good. Our cameras are
They
too
look
good
like
to
nice
do it.
cameras.
We have
I gotta
competent
be honest.
professionals behind the scenes.
It's crazy.
Well,
I
tell
just
them to
want to
loosen-
look like
tell
a
'em-
Joey Styles promo.
But tell them to loosen it up. Tell them to. I'd like to see morally abhorrent distorted by the Funhouse mirror as you try to do an homage to Chiringuito because Spanish language television has always been goofier, weirder.
We need Spain to be in this as long as possible. Chiringuito and their Twitch channel is going to be going on. I don't think it ever goes off the air. They have somebody doing it right now, but for the Spanish games, you have to have it. For my watch party, we had a laptop totally dedicated to the live stream of Chiringuito. As they were talking, we had these 2 different broadcasts. You had to dedicate one ear to it because it's the drama of the World Cup. You have to get up for it. You quite literally have to get up for
5 a.m. to see a bunch of goals.
Today was the last 5 a.m.er. I'm relieved, but also a little sad because we're nearing the end of my favorite part of the World Cup, which is the group stage because you have more games. And I already start getting sad. And knockout stages have this incredible drama. You'll have stoppage times. You'll have penalties. You'll have legacies
It's
written
all the
and
witching
that.
hour right now. You want 7 games at a time as opposed to 1 game with stakes.
It's like when you get to Championship Sunday in the NFL. I start to get sad.
I get sad.
Like the games are dwindling down
Because it signals
Yeah.
that it's over.
Yeah.
We
It's
have.
unbelievable.
What was your question, Dan, by the way?
The question
Your
was about
fart?
Sean McVay.
Oh, I thought it was about the.
I thought you were going to say Shart.
the 15 year ago fart that still has a lasting legacy.
I do.
Beauty.
What did you eat that day?
I can't remember.
Let's go behind the fart.
I can't. You're asking me. You're catching me off guard.
Inside the farter studio.
I was behind the fort.
I'm learning for the first time that this is something you all knew about, and I somehow thought you were so
It
good at
was
concealing
during
it.
a Brandon Guzio sports flash. Many are calling it the fart.
I think we should do an oral
The
history.
Miami Heat had just drafted Wayne Simeon.
And it's a chair.
And you were just talking about trading James Posey. And then, as history would tell us, it happened. What was going through your mind? More importantly, what did you have to eat the previous night?
I don't remember. Jessica, we'll get to Mike Schur and the stat of the day in a second. But in the middle of yesterday's chaos, Sean McVay and this championship got old fast.
Well, he looks old.
The Rams, Billy's been saying for months now, McVay should have stayed in broadcasting.
Yeah, he
should have
should have
taken
left
a
the
broadcasting
broadcasting,
job
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because he's gotten old in 11 games. And yesterday's game, Jessica thought he should be in the concussion protocol because he got sideswiped by a dude running out in the field with a helmet, and he looked like it seemed like he was woozy.
He looked like he got smoked by that guy right in the orbital bone, and he just went about his business. I think if you're going to be serious about head injuries in this league, you got to put him straight into the blue medical tent. Get him out of there. He shouldn't be calling plays. You trust that guy calling plays after he gets hit in the head?
What are the spotters for, if not to watch that on television and go, pull him out and put him in a test now?
If I made the players?
I mean, it's concussions. It's general head safety around the sport. Everyone's got to be. Why only the players?
Do you think they'll have
the
to
coaches
address
are in
this?
harm's way? I think they do.
You think they actually have to address the misdiagnosed concussion?
I think
that
they
he was
should.
allowed to stay on the sidelines.
I think they have to. If we're gonna have this level of hand wringing when Tua gets hurt, we should do it. We should have these alarm bells around anybody with a head injury. If somebody's not wearing a helmet and they get hit by somebody running on the field with a helmet, you saw it, right, Stugotz? He looked damaged by it.
I saw it. He looked damaged. I saw Saban get hit as well, and he took it like a champ. He was fine, you know?
Well, that's the difference, you know?
Yeah.
Saban's in his 70s. He's used to taking hits. McVay's the young, hot guy on the street, although maybe not so much anymore. ASU hired a 32-year-old, so get out of here, Sean McVay.
Wait, Arizona State hired a 32-year-old
Kenny
person?
Dillingham from
Really?
Oregon, their offensive coordinator.
Kenny Dillingham is now coaching the Sun Devils. See, I can't do this with the World Cup and the football going on at the same time.
as Auburn gets in the Hugh Freeze hunt.
Oh, they got to make a panic hire. They got to make a panic hire.
That's like a done deal, right?
No.
It's not? You
No.
freeze? Really?
No, there's something going on there.
What, Dion?
They're still going big game hunting. Man, I would love to see Dion go to Auburn because I think the boosters would love him at first, and he is the type of personality that can take them on. If you talk to people that know college football, they say that there's no more toxic booster environment in terms of entitled boosters than Auburn. And I would love to see that dynamic unfold. Look at the people they've pushed out, really successful coaches for that program. I don't know why Auburn is so bothered. Well, the answer is Alabama has just maintained this dominance throughout all these years. But Wisconsin fired their head coach, and they made a hire. Nebraska, obviously, they get super frustrated. They hire Matt Rule. And at a certain time, you look at these years, and you're like, is that not okay? You're Wisconsin. Shouldn't you be happy? The last 20 years, if I'm a Wisconsin football supporter, I'm elated. If I'm Nebraska, obviously I want to get a little bit better, but there is a reconfiguration when it comes to expectation in the landscape of college football. What is the right expectation? Why is it all or nothing? Auburn, why aren't you satisfied? You've had very good years.
They should have kept Gene Chizik.
Well, speaking of toxic boosters, hold on. Speaking of head injuries, the Miami Pitt game, the Pitt player hit himself in the helmet with his own helmet without his helmet on, and just the entire bench.
Hit himself in the face.
The entire bench.
He was hitting himself in the face with the
Cringed.
helmet.
The bench reaction, like Jess says, was just great.
Can I make I'm going to make an admission to you. I was at that game, obviously, Miami Pitt, and I made the conscious decision to go into like the lounge because there were so few people there that I knew that I was just going to be memed. I was avoiding.
You were hiding. You were hiding from
hiding
You were hiding
cameras.
from attendant shame
Because I'd already seen on my phone that the broadcast was fixated on sad Miami fans, and there were only about 40 of us left by the end. And
So
it was
you
just
had
a
to run
numbers
out of
game.
there.
I just realized if this image is out there on the internet, it's forever.
Okay, Mike Schur is coming in now, and I actually wanted to segue into something, Mike, because now as you are actively trying to play defense against the internet, one moment, Stugotz, from the last week that made me sad is Zion Williamson, who burst into the sport like feeling effervescent and fun, scared to answer a question about what his favorite Thanksgiving meal is. Somebody with that body. With that body. How cruel must the internet be about body shaming that Zion Williamson already, who's not even old enough to have been through college, I think he's still college age, will not give the internet the benign vulnerability of my favorite food is pecan pie. He said, no comment. I will not give the internet that because you guys are going to clown me from every angle. God almighty, what are we doing to people?
Being mean?
What are we doing, Mike Schur, when Zion Williamson is saying, I can't give you something that simple. You've already crushed whatever effervescence I was going to have as a young star in this league.
I mean, am I crazy, or do I remember a lot of discussions on this podcast about Zion Williamson and his body, and a lot of jokes being made about Zion Williamson and his body, and one person who shall remain nameless, because last time I mentioned her name, she accused me of white knighting her, who was saying, hey, I don't think we should be doing that. And then a lot more jokes about Zion Williamson's body. I seem to remember that.
That's correct.
Scenario unfolding. Yeah.
Wait,
so
who was
he's
she,
not
though?
crazy. He's not crazy. He's right. Of course he's right. He's young and he understands the internet, and he knows that if he says, I love turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing and pecan pie and sweet potato pie and green bean casserole, that people are going to immediately meme him and make jokes about it. Like, I think he's smart. He's smart to do that. That is whatever you're saying about, like, oh, what are we doing to these people? We've done it already. It's already the situation now. And now the smart people like Zion know that they shouldn't walk into that trap.
Dan, what's your favorite side?
What happened to your
He
voice
literally couldn't
He was
contain
nervous.
his-
Yeah.
What happened?
Giddy, he was nervous. It was weird.
What
Yeah.
happened
Made
to
himself
everything there? So you were so pleased with your joke that you couldn't stop to make it before laughing?
It was a good joke. I'm with him. It was a good joke.
Some kale thing or something?
Pecan pie. Dairy-free and vegan.
I had pecan pie for the first time a couple of years ago. It's just a sugar pie.
That's right.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Shy.
With nuts.
It's just corn syrup, crunchy corn syrup. It's
Delicious,
incredible.
yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Mike, I have a question for you because Dan has just revealed to us he has never farted in front of his wife. Do you fart in front of your wife?
Come on. Of course. Everybody
Thank
does.
you. I know.
He's
I know.
not. He's
I
lying.
know.
He's
Yeah,
lying.
He's totally
You
lying.
ever been caught in a
Right.
Dutch oven?
Yeah.
The thing that my wife and I do when one or the other of us passes gas is we just look at each other and go, "Cool." That's how that's how we acknowledge that we have
like
heard what happened.
I like
Look,
it.
game out of it. It's fun. Yeah.
Have you
Yeah,
ever
it's
been
fun.
watching a game? There's a stretch because you're always on the move and your diet isn't great because you're eating bad things, and you let one go that you're like, oh, this is not good if I breathe it in. This is bad. What happened to me? This is a potentially dangerous thing that I'm inhaling.
What are you? Of course. What are you talking about? What are these
No,
questions?
This
we
is
all
Dan-
agree. We asked Dan the same questions. He
I
said
think
it's
it was
never, he's
no.
never
Dang,
farted.
yeah.
Val's never farted. No one's ever farted.
That's
I
not
mean,
going to
I
happen.
know what Dan-
That's
I know
not
what
gonna
Dan's
happen
diet
around
is.
my
There's no-
wife. That's not going
I'm
to happen around
I'm
my
a
wife.
vegetarian. I know what Dan's eating. There's no way he's never
That's
had
not
one of those situations.
I am eating according to blood allergies. You
Dan
can
has a
call
fart
her.
room.
You could call.
He has fart sheets.
Boom.
I have a question for Mike Schur. When you become a dad and you fart, do you
want one.
automatically have to say, did someone step on a duck?
I've never heard that before.
Maybe it's just my dad.
I do it with my dog. I'm like, is there a duck in here?
I have a fart room. I have a fart room. When
do
I
you
have
really?
people
I'm
over,
so jealous.
I have a fart room. I just have a room that I know people aren't going to gather in. I'll be like, oh, just go real
Or
quick. I want
Juliet's
to wash
room.
my hands. I go into the room, and I swear to God, that room is way warmer than all the other rooms in my house.
It's greenhouse gases that just trap the heat. Over
I
That
can
room
never
is
light a
accelerating
candle.
climate
If I
change.
light a candle in that
But
room, my
isn't
entire
that-
house
but
will incinerate.
I would have assumed that that's what all of you would do when you felt something like that was coming on. That you wouldn't unleash that.
Dude, I'm playing an instrument over here. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I let it fly, man. I mean,
Let's do Mike Schur's
Find a room.
stat of the day.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
the stat of the day is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The Philadelphia Eagles had 363 rushing yards last night, which is the most they had since they had 376 rushing yards on November 21st, 1948, in a 42-21 win over Washington. That stat was quoted on the game during the game. I looked up some notes from that game. November 21st, 1948. So, of course, Steve Van Buren led the Eagles with 171 yards rushing. We all remember that. Bosh Pritchard had 66 yards rushing. Noble Doss had 52 yards rushing. Philly's coach, of course, was Greasy Neal. The man's name was Greasy Neal.
I love that.
Washington's QB. You all remember Washington's QB in that game, Slingin' Sammy Baugh, of course.
Of course, yes.
Slingin' Sammy Baugh, Hall of Famer, 11 of 25 for 210 yards and 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns. But here's how long ago, this is the stat that really lays it bare. Here's how long ago it was. A player for Washington in this game named Dick Poyon returned a fumble 93 yards for a touchdown and then kicked the extra point.
It's classic Dick. I mean,
Dick was pointing it on.
It's why do you love rummaging around so much in the history books?
I just wanted to see whether that got Hakeem Nicks or at the loser game.
Oh, come on.
I gave it to myself for Dick pointing it on.
Tricky Dick.
I love rummaging around because it's hilarious. Because then you learn things like Dick Poyon returned a fumble 93 yards for a touchdown and kicked his own extra point. That's incredible. That's like that's an all-timer. I will now quote that for the rest of my life. I'll talk about that Washington Philly game from 1948.
Mike, I'm curious to know what your take is about what's going on in the World Cup. And our Iranian journalist just asked Greg Berhalter why he hasn't asked the U.S. government to remove naval ships around Iran. The U.S. kind of...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
it's an unfair question.
Yeah. So, number one, how would you answer that question? And number two is... why did the U.S. men's Twitter account put these guys in this spot? I understand that they were going for something, but there are different ways to get out this message and draw attention to what's happening. To subject Greg Berhalter to questions like this without running it by them that this was going to happen, it seems a little bit like a bizarre judgment call.
I'd also add, by the way, that an Iranian reporter also asked the U.S. captain, Tyler Adams, first off, he reprimanded him for mispronouncing Iran, and then said, "Are you comfortable representing the U.S. when the country has such a history of racism against black people?" It was some press conference today in Doha.
He's a 23-year-old professional soccer player. That's incredible. I hadn't heard any of those stories. Yeah, the thing that bums me out about this is that the U.S. had no coordinated plan of attack, right? Like, they walked into this World Cup knowing that all this stuff was going to fly around and had no, strategy. I don't know how some combination of United States soccer representatives, Greg Berhalter, someone from the State Department, a bunch of people should have sat down and been like, okay, here are things that might happen. And maybe they did, and these are just things that they didn't plan for. But they certainly don't seem to have any kind of coordinated plan for dealing with all of the thousands and thousands of thorny issues that have come up during the World Cup. And they should have. Someone should be protecting them. They should have issued a statement. Even the small gestures, like the German team putting their hands over their mouths to indicate that they were silenced, even those small coordinated gestures are very powerful, and the U.S. doesn't seem to have any idea what they're doing, and that's kind of disappointing to me.
It was reported that, indeed, there was no coordination with the State Department or the soccer team, boots on the ground in Qatar, about what they were going to do on Twitter, which, once again, for the people that are just joining us, is the U.S. men's Twitter account put out the Iranian flag without the Islamic Republic symbol in the middle of the flag. They altered the flag, and they said that it was a show of solidarity for the women in Iran. Obviously, major worldwide news, what's going on over there with the protest. And since then, the Iranian flag has been untouched. But Obviously, the Iranian government and their football federation has called for the banishment of the U.S. from this tournament. It has not gone over well in Iran, and it's just one of those tricky situations in which you'd like some sort of uniform policy going into it, considering they were in the group. We all knew that the U.S. was going to play Iran for several months, Mike.
This has been known for a very long time, and Qatar and Iran are two like hot zones of U.S. involvement and conflict. That's why it's so stunning to me that they didn't have any kind of actual plan. All of the players, the coaches, everybody should have been armed with certain talking points, certain things to say and not to say. And then to have that Twitter thing happen without even consulting the team, like the team didn't know it was happening. It's just so unfair. It's just like, it seems like this whole thing, it's not like this got sprung on them. They have known for a very long time where they were going and who they were going to play. It's just, what if Greg Berhalter, by the way, what did they ask him? Something about U.S. military strategy?
There was a really funny tweet that I saw. They asked Greg Berhalter why he hasn't asked the U.S. government to move the naval ships, and someone retweeted, we can't even get him to play Gio Reyna.
Yeah, that's accurate. What if, I was just imagining if he had a really detailed and specific response to that question where he was like, well,
it's a logistical hurdle. Funny you should ask. Funny you should ask. I was talking to the Navy about this yesterday.
We've been talking to our generals about this. Can you explain to us, though, Mike, as someone who just got done writing a best-selling book during the pandemic about all of the moral conundrums that no choices, it's almost impossible to be morally consistent with any of your choices. For these games at this time to be everyone unified in silence over human rights violations because we've been bought and paid for, FIFA and everyone else, and all of us, like, how do you navigate all of that? The idea that what you guys are talking about right now is that the Americans were totally ill-equipped to, never mind have a talking points plan. What do they know about not being able to speak freely?
Look, the World Cup itself is a extremely difficult thing to navigate if you're interested in trying to maintain a moral compass or an ethical balance or whatever you want to call it. World Cup in Qatar, forget about it. World Cup in Qatar when you're playing in a group with England, Wales, and Iran, even harder. Like these are not, there's no easy solution here. There's no, for spectators, for players, for coaches, for the U.S., for other nations. I honestly think that about the best you can do, and I'm not just blowing smoke here, is what Mike, Ryan, and Whitty are doing, which is if you want to talk about the World Cup, call your podcast Morally Abhorrent. Like, put the fact that this is a problem to navigate this ethically front and center. Don't try to ignore it. Don't try to pretend it's not there. Make it part of the discussion all the time, because I think that the only mistake you can really make in situations like this, when there's no easy answer, no clear answer, is to pretend that these things aren't there, that they don't matter, that they don't exist. Talk about them all the time. I know it's annoying. I know it's a pain in the ass. Like, all you want to do is enjoy the World Cup. It's the greatest sporting event that the world has to offer, and all you want to do is just enjoy it. But that's not possible. It's not possible if you have any interest at all in being a person who's like aware of what's going on around you. So just bring it up and talk about it and discuss it. That's sort of the best we can do, I think.
I love the Iranian impression of what Joe Biden's national security daily briefings are. He goes around, he sees the vice president, the head of Space Force, every naval branch, and Greg Berhalter is also there.
Yeah.
It's just like, Chuck Mallory, Space Force, DeAndre Yedlin, right back.
Berhalter had no idea. How was his answer?
Oh, can we find the sound?
It had
of
to be
Greg
a non-answer.
Berhalter's response.
Come on, it had to be a non-answer.
Because I would love it to be something super thought out. Well, actually, it's a domino effect. Strategically, we have to have a presence there. And it's not even so much me.
Look,
it's
we have
NATO.
to start with what's going on in Yemen. Let's discuss what's going on in Yemen first. Then we can move backwards to U.S. naval strategy in the Gulf.
Mike, can I just enjoy the soccer, or are you going to judge me? Like, can I just enjoy the soccer for what it is? It's soccer. It's entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can.
Thank you.
I will try not to judge anyone who wants to just do that because that's a very frequently expressed thought about anything, about the World Cup, about the Super Bowl when there's problems in the NFL, about the World Series when there's problems in baseball, whatever. It's college football when they're not paying players. Yes, there is a way that you can compartmentalize, that you can shut off the part of your brain that cares about this stuff and just say, like, this is my escape, this is my entertainment, go ahead. I don't think that's the best way to do it personally, but that doesn't mean other people can't do it or shouldn't do it. I think that when you have something like the World Cup that is literally every nation on earth, every continent on earth, with the number of problems that exist, with the corruption of the body itself that puts on the event, who were just clearly bribed with enormous stacks of money by this nation and then they built a bunch of stadiums and thousands of people died in essentially slave-like conditions. I don't think it's the best move, personally, to just compartmentalize and just enjoy the entertainment. But, I'm not going to try to stop anybody else from doing that.
You're judging me, though.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the slave-like conditions, The phrase slave-like conditions. Like when the starting point is, how did those stadiums that didn't exist get built? Oh, it was slaves marching through oppressive heat, living 8 to a room, bathing with toilet water, with no freedom to go back to their own country, no freedom to leave the job, and some of them not being paid. Like, that's how that happened. That's the starting point.
And then now there's people in those stadiums cheering and being like, it's so annoying that we can't have beer. Like those are the two extreme ends of the World Cup experience.
You ruin everything with your moralities. Morally
That's
abhorrent.
my job.
The post-game show will be available to you. Mike Ryan and Chris Whittingham have been distracted all show because were there more goals scored? Did that game end with 5 goals scored?
I think we have to look. Well, no, it's Spain, but certainly for the first 2 early matches, this is the most goals being scored. By the way, Mike Schur is gracious enough to join us and become a regular part of our show. You should check out his podcast with Joe Posnanski, Podcast.
That's my mistake for not advertising that. I should have told the people that you and Joe Paz do a podcast, and you should find it wherever it is you get your podcast through the LeBatard and Friends Network here with Metal Arc Media.
You guys were talking about like bits that you do with your wife, like when you fart in front of each other, you just say cool. My boyfriend and I have a bit now where we call every podcast a Pozcast.
Mm.
Do you fart?
Is that technically a bit? That's just like, I'm not sure that counts as a bit.
Right.
See you later, Mike. Good talking to you.
Sorry, I got distracted because Mike asked me if I fart, and it was off air, and it was weird. And I said we've been over this before. Like, it was like my second day of work, and you're like, do you fart? And I was like, yeah, obviously. Like, I'm a human being.
Yeah, that was.
Sometimes you pass gas.
Sorry, I'd never worked with a girl before.
Or met one.
See you later, Mike Schur.
Bye.
You guys were speaking of the bowl games, and I wanted to ask you, Brett McMurphy reported that there are 79 bowl-eligible teams and 82 spots.
What?
So Miami is going to make one.
Miami is actually eligible for it because of their graduation rate. Yeah,
Get
so
outta
like
here.
5 and 7 teams.
They should not accept a bowl
They wouldn't.
invitation.
That was Greg Cody's column after the game, that they
wouldn't.
shouldn't accept a bowl bid.
I don't think that they would. As a Miami fan, I think it's a huge embarrassment to not be bowl eligible. I think entering this season, you can make an argument that this is the most embarrassing Miami season ever. And from everybody that I talked to about entering that Pitt game, everybody to a person was telling me, just end this season. Just end this season, get into our off-season program.
This is the worst Miami team I have seen. When you're losing all the games and allowing 40 points again and again, and you lose to Middle Tennessee State. But again, if you're doing 79 bowl-eligible teams in 82 spots, so Stugotz, you're going to have 2 5 and 7 teams, and New Mexico and Army are like pleading, or they have to like fill out paperwork and get an NCAA waiver in order to get to a bowl game. What you're doing,
Army should get an automatic bid. We
100%,
agree, right?
yes.
Yeah.
To
the playoff.
The troop. Well, all right. World Cup. Here we go.
Salute the toots.
Salute the toots.
you're
I'm talking way too much.
You're just making business at this point when the last three spots.
Of course you
Yeah,
are.
they
You're
only
making
exist
business
for
in the last
business.
50 spots. I mean, no one cares.
But what do we do?
They're just corporate
But
sponsorships.
what semi-pro football? What does it mean in semi-pro football when a 5-7 team is bowl eligible because they've got 3 more spots to fill? Like, what are you doing?
Making money?
You're just churning. You're a content mill for shitty sports.
I'll
Whoa.
watch it. I promise you.
Shitty sports.
Yeah.
Sickos.
Yeah.
It's for the sickos.
I love the middle and lower tier bowl games in December. They're fun as long as no one's getting hurt and everyone's having
2
a
5
fun
and 7
time.
teams. You can't have. How can you have 5 and 7 teams in bowl
It
games?
happens
This
all the
happens
time. Yeah, it's
often.
happened before.
It's just television programming. Yeah. It's television
It's
programming
great.
that actually rates startlingly well. Of course. Like it's, a 3 p.m. game on a Tuesday on December 20th, and 1.7 million people will watch that, 1.6 million of whom have gambled on it.
And you see some guy get French fries dumped on their head. You see this other guy get mayonnaise dumped on his head. Could be Marcus Freeman this year, although I don't think they're eligible for it anymore. I'm not really sure how the ACC tie-ins work now that Clemson lost.
I mean, it's bowl season. What are you doing? I mean, you get a Wednesday afternoon
like
game.
it's
hideous.
Fantastic.
It's hideous.
I'm not saying it's not hideous, but to your earlier point, you get to gamble on it Wednesday at 3 in the afternoon. Like, what's wrong with that? Huh?
It's just it's such a bad product. It's, 2 bad teams in a stadium that's 40% sold out on a Tuesday afternoon in a game that means nothing, and it's just literally
It means nothing to you.
It's
Yeah, what else
college
are you gonna
green.
watch? The
It's-
Kelly Clarkson show?
It's
Like, who cares?
college green against college blue. That's all that's the point of these activities. It's an awful product.
No, it's not.
But they have to. They've sold the sponsorships. They've put the programming on ESPN. 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. Didn't you guys used to get vacation because of those bowl games? Like that was the
Yeah.
time for TV shows
we
to get
loved it.
vacation on ESPN. And it just exists to exist.
Live a little.
You
Have
just
some
said it
fun.
rated really well.
Yeah.
5 seconds ago.
Bowl
They
games,
rate well. It doesn't mean they're not awful.
the idea of bowl games were, you always had those corporate sponsorships, but it was an end of the year reward for players that weren't getting paid. And now it seems like more of a hindrance. Players opt out of it left and right. Not to blame the players. I don't blame them either. But there's all the pageantry from even the lower bowls had pageantry, but it's hard to get up for bad boy mowers. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
Bad Boy
but-
Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
Right, there's
It's
no
a great bowl
They're not
game.
the sponsor
one.
anymore.
They're not?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I think they have a different bowl.
Too
Are they
bad.
still having the mowers race?
There's no. They don't even take it seriously. If you watch the end zone paint for these bowl games, they're just. You see the Titans and Southern Miss.
I don't like
somehow
this
in the
one
same end zone.
The saddest,
don't you like?
the saddest one was always the
What
one
they're
that was
doing
at
the bowl
Tropicana
season.
Field.
That Bad Boy Mowers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was always sad. That one, like the paint was coming
went to
down.
that one.
Pitcher's mound. It's just if you're not gonna respect this bowl game, why the hell should the players?
I went to the Trop. The Beef O'Brady's Bowl is
You-
awesome.
You have the hometown lenders Bahamas Bowl. It's already set. The matchup is set. December
And
16th,
they were
a
so
Friday.
excited that game last Tuesday
At
night when they made
11:30
it.
a.m. You tell the kids from UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, that game means nothing, okay? Because to them it means everything.
They didn't even have a team a couple
Miami,
years
Ohio
ago.
had the flag of the Bahamas on the field when they won last
Uh-huh.
Tuesday
Bingo.
to qualify for the game. By the way, Bad Boys now sponsors the Pinstripe Bowl, which might be
Wow.
a Pitt versus Iowa game. That's going to be electric.
All right, gang. This is what we have to do, okay? Because I see what's going on. Not the Bahamas Bowl, unfortunately. Bimini Pass. We missed that one. Guys, this is what we have to do, all right? Stugotz, Jess, myself, I think we know where we stand. We're pro bowls here, okay? Whitty and Mike seem to hate the bowl games. We all need to choose a side, and if you're not pro bowl, you cannot celebrate any of the great moments that come with bowl
I
season.
agree.
I'm telling you right now.
I love bowl games.
No,
I love.
didn't sound like it.
I did a whole riff on the bowl representatives yesterday. I saw a tweet about how Orange Bowl committee members were at Mike Norvell's press conference, waiting to see how he would answer questions.
FSU got better fast.
Yeah, I love.
Pick a side.
Well, not really. It took them. This is 3 years. That's not fast. Especially like I heard someone say that about Michigan. What? Everybody was
Took them a
firing.
decade.
Everybody was firing Jim Harbaugh after 2 seasons.
Jim Harbaugh had an interview with the Vikings on National Signing Day last year.
Oh, it didn't happen quick.
You guys thought he was going to be the new Dolphins head coach for like a month.
Dude, I wonder. It's so funny how Mike McDaniel and Tua is the most sustainable outcome out of all the ones. And I don't mean to diminish the 10 years that Tom Brady's going to end up playing from here on out. But they lucked into, through their own failings and that lawsuit, the most sustainable scenario, I
Yeah,
think, for that franchise.
It's crazy. It's a crazy
Don't fall for
story.
this. This
That
is
was a classic shuffle away, Mike. That's
Talk
what you
about
did.
Brady.
Yeah.
Don't say I'm
Okay.
anti-bull.
Yeah.
Pick a side.
I'm,
this
I'm
is-
super pro Bulls.
this is
I
what-
want the Bulls. My whole problem with Bulls is that they're taking
There's no
it-
problems.
is that they're not taking it seriously enough. Where's the bunting? Where's the effort to actually sell tickets?
Whittingham-
Where's the end zone paint?
This your quibble
Make
is
a bowl game presented by, not the actual bowl game. It's not the Culligan Bowl. It's a Holiday Bowl presented by Culligan. Maybe with graphic representation, but that's it. Get the hell away from the patch. It's a Holiday Bowl patch.
Billy.
I feel very strongly
Yeah,
about
too
this.
strongly. I
no,
would
I really
argue.
do.
Too strongly.
It's how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And they don't take these
That's
bowls
way too
serious.
absolute.
And these same people, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, they take it seriously. They have a passion for Mayo. They have
Mike,
elevated that
Mike,
to the point that it's
please
one of the
stop
marquee
telling
bowl
us
games.
how much you love the Bulls. Okay, you're
But
exonerated.
I got accused of not liking the
Okay,
Bulls, Dan.
Are you
But
just
because, yeah, but you're
I like
trying
the
too
Bulls.
hard now.
Maybe
You're
you
trying
like
too
too
hard.
much.
You don't
Yeah.
like the
I
Bulls.
love it.
too
Let
hard.
me tell you something. I have watched more bowl
Mike,
games than you've forgotten.
You have fallen into the classic Billy trap
No
of
such thing.
trying to agitate you for no good reason.
Are you
one
pro
loves
bull
Bulls
or
more than-
anti-bull?
You're
Also,
No
not
one
gonna.
wants-
It's
no
not
one
gonna
wants
work
Bulls
on me,
more than me.
Billy.
no one wants
Billy,
to answer the question.
It's
No
not
one
going to
loves
work
Bulls.
on me because your ire is actually directed at Chris Whittingham.
no ire. I'm
because
chill AF.
Whittingham,
We just like Bulls.
before the season started, and he's gotten louder and louder, and you guys have muffled him with your love of football, even semi-pro crappy football. He has told you since the season started, once you start paying everybody all over the place, what are we doing? What's the point of any of this? It's all really stupid semi-pro football. And now you guys are arguing on behalf of 2 5 and 7 teams that have to write to get a waiver from the NCAA to play another game. That's what you guys are arguing on behalf of, as he's just telling you that's shit football. Unquestionably, indisputably shit football.
Here's what I'm arguing, Dan. When you go to the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and play football for them, and your prize at the end of the season is a nice trip to the Bahamas and a little bowl game, okay? You tell those kids it doesn't mean anything. I don't care what the end zone's painted like. I don't care what's going on in your life, what's going on in everyone else's life. To them, that's everything.
It is
okay?
everything. The injustice the injustice that's all over college sports. They get a gift bag and get to stay in a Bohemian hotel.
That's nice.
For a weekend for
Atlantis.
going 5 and
They
7.
get to stay at
Exactly.
Atlantis. They get a gift bag. It's a great time.
Some of the players get to play on prime time for the first time of the season, get
Yep.
noticed by a scout maybe. All eyes are on them instead of, on a Saturday where there's 500 games happening at once. And if you're a fan of college football, you don't want your season to end on the 13th week of the season. You want to have that little thing to look forward to over the holidays. If your team did well, if they're 500 or above, maybe 5 and 7, if you get lucky, you get a bid. You want to see them play in that fun game and get to match up against someone that they never get to play against in the regular season. That's what I like about bowl season.
Right.
You get to see these weird Iowa versus Pitt. If that happens, that's going to be bizarre.
I've been waiting for UAB and Miami of Ohio forever. I mean, and you know what's
Exactly.
providing it for me, Dan? The Bahamas Bowl.
That's right.
How about that?
And Dan, all these people aren't going to play on Sunday. This is a nice little send-off for them.
Well, Friday
you know?
game. Yeah. Friday football.
Iowa has the same uniforms as the Steelers, so it's going to be like watching Pitt play the Steelers. It's going to be very strange if that happens.
Whittingham, we lose. Semi-pro football on the bottom rung of the ladder. On the very bottom rung of the ladder. They eat it up, addict it, snort it. Doesn't matter. Give me my shit football. I'll slather it all over my face.
Like Duke's Mayo.
Let's do weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, at several different times in our lives, they have been a major part of the college football landscape, winning national championships and producing great players. They've been down for a while, but thanks to a new rule called There Are No More Rules, they were able to get a coach who could bring along a transcendent quarterback, and Dan, with a massive 38-27 win over Notre Dame. Make no mistake about it, the USC Trojans are back.
They are, aren't they?
They're back.
Jessica's snarling at you right now,
Sorry.
disgusted.
If USC is back because they beat Notre Dame, Notre Dame's also obviously back.
Well, they're back because they're in the college football playoff.
Right.
And they have the
because they
Heisman
beat
front
Notre
runner.
Dame.
Right. Well, yes, because they beat Notre Dame. Yep. Speaking of back, LeBron James, Caleb Williams, looks like he's playing a video game. Zach Wilson, that was the healthiest slice of humble pie I've ever seen. USA, Iran, seems like the ultimate win or go home game, doesn't it? It does.
How so?
Well, the loser, goes home.
What if there's a draw in a win or go home game?
Ooh, I didn't
scenario?
think of that.
Because
What happens there?
if a draw happens, then the U.S. go home.
So for the U.S., it's a
must win.
It's a must win. Iran, they
It's
can
a must
lose and
not
still
lose.
stay there.
Iran, it's a must not lose.
Okay, got it.
We might go 4 years and only see one American goal in 3 games.
Oh, it'd be 8 years.
8 years. Yeah, they missed
8
it last
years,
time.
excuse me,
Yeah.
8 years.
Jesus.
Well, it'd be 12 years because you won't see it until the next one.
Right. If they make it.
Yeah.
No
then
wonder.
it could be 16.
No wonder Mike and Whitty were hugging that way.
You see what a ridiculous question you asked me last week.
was the final
on why
hug.
I celebrated that. If 4 years I can look at you and say, well, that was the only one that we got in 12 years, then you'd understand.
I invested 2 hours of my Friday afternoon in soccer. And you know what I got in return? Nothing. A couple of nils cutting it up. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's not going to the Pac-12 championship game. The O in Oregon stands for oh no. I mean, did you see that game? They blew it. They had it.
Oregon State came back without throwing the ball in the fourth quarter.
Crazy things happen in Corvallis.
You've always said that. You've always said that.
I have.
You've for some reason since I've met Stugotz, he's always said that.
You don't want to play him there.
Especially when they're undergoing stadium renovations and only one half the stadium is filled.
Oh, God.
People think I'm kidding. It's something he's said for 18 years.
It's one of the few things I've been consistent on.
Beware of being in Corvallis, especially for a night game.
Yeah. You're lucky to come out alive. You know who didn't? The Ducks. Andrew Luck, Stanford head coach, collision course. That has to happen. It has to happen.
A Jeff Saturday
Oh my gosh,
situation.
Bill Cowher is going to lose his mind.
I hope someone hires Cowher and he's horrible.
Same.
I hope Deion Sanders goes to Stanford.
That would be great.
Again, Hugh Freeze is back in the game.
But you'd rather have Andrew Luck, right? I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
No, but Andrew Luck replaces Deion Sanders at Jackson State.
Matt Rule and Nebraska.
Oh my
Put
God!
my theme music on.
More, please.
I am Swack. Oh, that was fun. These bands, huh?
Not Matt Rule again. Not Matt Rule again. Come on.
Matt Rule and Nebraska. Match made in heaven. Dan, you know what the C in Cornhusker stands for?
I do not.
Caucasian.
Hope they let me play the tuba.
Feels like KJ Jefferson is finishing up his 10th season at the University of Arkansas. Kid's been there forever. He'll win something. Kept reading headlines over the weekend. The U.S. dominates England. Exactly how does one dominate a 0-0 tie? Explain it to me. If scoring 0 goals and giving up 0 goals allows you to make that claim, then you could claim that England dominated the U.S. Think about that. Or don't.
You are enraging Whittingham and Mike Ryan for not enjoying and celebrating the beautiful game.
There are stats that
What was beautiful about it?
We dominated the ball. The Americans dominated the ball, just like in the first half against Wales. They dominated time of possession.
It's a moral victory.
They had more
I mean,
chances. They had more chances.
They choked. Just say it. They choked. They had the chances. They couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. I mean, score a goal. Thank you.
I'm with you. Score a goal. They need to.
They have to.
Now
have
they
to.
have to.
They have to.
Now
The
they
fate of the
have to.
They
world
wanna
may
stay.
depend on it.
Yeah.
And if they score a goal, they could still be. It could be tied. Then they
Hugely-
have to score 2 goals. They
hugely
cannot draw.
important.
They
You-
must win.
You cannot give Iran this propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. There's too much on the line, not just for soccer, but for the world.
More than just a game.
It's
Mos-
the ultimate winner go home match.
Moscow and Juego.
Why are we acting like it's such a hardship to win a game?
I
Like, you
know.
want to advance in a tournament? Yeah, you should have to win.
We're
Win.
celebrating a tie.
We agree with you. You have to beat Iran if you want to get to the World Cup knockout rounds. You have to beat Iran.
How about beat England?
Mike's afraid of Iran.
Like independent of the situation, that's a team that the U.S. on an international level should be able to beat. And if they can't, then they should go home in a fair bit of shame, which is what will happen.
But the problem is you don't beat Wales. Iran beat Wales.
Yeah.
You don't beat England. I mean, spring an upset.
Which, I mean, Wales would not have been an upset. They should have won that game based off how they played in the
But
first half.
England, I mean,
Well, I mean,
you've seen upsets in this World Cup.
You can't do transitive property. in
especially in this World Cup.
In this World Cup, right now there is only one nation that has won both its games, and it's the defending world champion,
France,
so far.
Well, it's only because Brazil hasn't played a second game.
Well,
yet.
I'm doing a rhetorical trick, but that's still damning. If it were 2, it'd still be really impressive. If you were going to do transitive property, you'd argue Costa Rica is better than Germany.
Watch out for the Swiss.
Which division is it? The World Cup is just the AFC East. What's happening here? It's just a bunch.
On this year's evidence, it's just the entire NFL. Everyone's 5-6 or 6-5.
You should get a point if you dominate the game, and the other team should not. There should be judges.
See, now I like this.
Yep.
Instead of, if there's a draw, teams each get 1 point, but if you get a win, you get 3 points. How about if it's a draw and you dominate the possession and have more chances, you get 2 points?
Thank you.
I'm in for that.
So now you guys are changing the rules again?
Yes.
Saying that's the most
But
thought out
that's a
thing.
good rule.
Stugotz, you were mocked earlier for your judges' scorecard idea.
Yeah.
But
Witty.
I
Thank you.
didn't mock him for that.
Celebrity
Thank
judges.
you.
Okay, now we're making it
You gotta
ridiculous.
trust
Wow.
FIFA with judges?
No, I don't mean seriously.
bring
I
in
mean like
celebrities?
corruptible thing.
I would love for like ex players or ex coaches for there to like be put together some panel where they
Credible
do
people.
like every
Celebrities.
every 10
Tim
minutes
Kirchin.
every 10 minutes is reviewed by judges, and then they make a determination. Sometimes it's even, and then at the end we have a scorecard. I actually think that'd be a very useful thing
No,
to
but
do.
teams have a defensive identity where they kind of want you to have possession.
But that's bullshit. Then change.
No, that's not bullshit. It's not bullshit. It's
Whoa!
tactics.
Park the bus.
This guy
All you've
loves
said
judges'
is
appointments.
celebrities. All you've shouted in every
But
direction
celebrities
is
who can't
celebrity
be bought.
judges.
Like Tim
That's the
Kirchin
thing.
was a great. Whoever said Kirchin
Like
is
Tom
perfect.
Brady and
Yes.
Shaq and
Yes.
who else was in that FTX? Larry
Or
David.
Brett Favre.
Matt Damon.
LeBron James has a stake in a soccer club, though. I don't know if he's the right person. Conflict of interest.
LeBron James.
Someone said LeBron as a judge.
Someone said it. Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow,
Jamila Jamil. That's someone I would want to be a celebrity judge in the World Cup.
Somehow, the U.S. and England spent 2 hours dominating each other and boring an entire audience at the exact same time. They pulled off the impossible. Christian Pulisic, is that how you say it, or is it Pulisic? Here's an idea, whatever your name is. Score a goal. You catching my drift? Put one in the back of the nets.
Yeah, I mean,
The guy keeps hitting crossbars and posts. I mean, score a goal.
You are America's greatest. I mean, you're the reason for hope the last how many years, guys? That he's a
Forever.
striker. We've got a striker. We got a goal scorer.
He's not a striker.
What is it?
The winger.
Oh.
We've got a guy who scores goals.
I have a question.
Well, he hasn't scored any.
Does the U.S. have any like actual like U.S. men's have any actual like soccer World Cup legends? Because like everyone that they have on talking about it, like World Cup losers.
Landon Donovan is a World Cup legend. He
Yeah.
had a monumental goal, and when he was on the U.S., they made it to the quarterfinal. That is really hard to do in the World Cup. There are some great nations that are respected for their soccer prowess that have gone generations without doing that. So, yeah, no, Landon Donovan's absolutely a U.S. soccer legend.
What's quarterfinal? Like how many teams is that?
16.
12.
8.
8? I mean,
I mean,
top
guys,
8. That's not even
How
medal
is this
stand.
show unfamiliar with the concept of quarterfinals?
Well, it hasn't existed in
Lads.
Soccer's
8
different.
years,
You never
yeah.
know. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, who's celebrating
Fucking
8th
hell.
place? Whoa.
Chris Cody was right. Iran's defense is like the 85 Bears, the monsters of the Middle East.
So you just called Alexi Lawless a loser?
Oh, yeah.
Who are the other losers?
Not me, his career.
Who are the losers? Who are the other losers?
Clint
Landon.
Dempsey's on the coverage. I mean, you're calling Carly Lloyd a loser? How
No,
dare
he
you?
specified
All right.
men's. He specified men's.
Yep.
Yeah. So they have
Because we could name like 30 women
That's right. That is
champions
correct.
Of course.
That is
just
correct.
off the top of our heads.
That's how you do it.
Carly Lloyd's good at that. too.
Yep. God bless football. New episode later today. We're parking the bus. If we lose to Iran, we should permanently give up men's soccer. Is that fair?
Oh my God.
Too extreme?
Still alive in the group.
You can't lose to Iran.
It hasn't happened yet.
Wait a minute, Stugotz. Why did
I'm
you?
just saying if it does,
Can
though, give it up.
can we draw Iran in your eyes?
No.
Stugotz, did you just promise a God bless football tomorrow?
No, he said today and hasn't been recorded yet.
Later today, maybe? Tomorrow. Probably tomorrow.
So just lying about when your scheduled releases are?
We're trying to figure it out. A lot of moving parts.
You're not one of them, though. You're not one of the moving parts.
Oh, I'll move it.
It's 0% chance there's a God bless football today. 0% chance.
I mean, that's up to, the great Greg Cody and Christopher Cody and Shep Messing and Ray Hudson. I mean, waiting to hear back from Huddy. And Tony Miola. One of the greats. I like Tim Howard in goal better, to be honest with you. I don't trust this keeper. I don't.
He's been great.
Yeah. I like Tim Howard. There's something comforting about Tim Howard, standing in the cage. This guy, I don't know.
His hair's too good.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Something shady about him.
Tim Howard was bald.
Not Tim Howard, this guy.
The new guy.
Matt Turner is his name.
Yeah, I don't like that name.
You trust him? I mean,
It's been
Sounds like
excellent.
a backup quarterback.
Would you trust him with your unborn children?
right.
I mean, that's an extreme.
Would you trust Tim Howard?
Yeah,
Probably.
I would.
Yeah.
See? There you
Jess is right, though. He does sound like Matt Turner sounds like he's warming up when Derek Carr takes a hit to the ribs.
After springing the upset, the Saudis lost to Poland 2-0. Saudis, more like fraudies. Alabama.
Saudi Arabia, is that what you're suggesting?
Saudi Arabia, that's right.
This is all dangerous.
Alabama went on a 35-7 run once they realized they had a shot at making the playoffs. Did you notice that? They were down 7-0 to Auburn. Then someone told Saban, hey, you got a shot. Everything that you needed to happen happened. 35-7 run.
They're going to get in.
They're making it.
They're going to get in.
Nick Saban, you should see the other guy. Classic old man joke.
It is.
It's great.
It is an old classic.
I'm enjoying Nick Saban aging. It's fantastic. Besides suck it, you know what the S in Saban stands for?
No.
Style points. All it takes is a bunch of cocks to spoil a good party.
You saw what happened with the Twitter accounts between Clemson and South Carolina, where Clemson showed a tiger coming through, very menacing before the game, to eat a gamecock. And after the game, Gamecocks tweeted out, fixed it for you, and it's just a gamecock on a tiger skin rug. You just wanted to make a cock joke. I'm sorry.
I did, yeah. I'm confused here because I thought Hugh Freeze and Auburn was done. It's not done because I was going to congratulate him on his rehab tour being completed, but you guys are telling me
It's not official, I don't think, but he's the front runner according to some college football reporters.
Okay.
It's great, isn't it? That it would just be that corrupt. That Freeze is already making his way back.
It's funny how Lane Kiffin decides to return to Ole Miss and then he gets a contract extension.
Yeah.
Where does he get those memes that he tweets, by the way? Like, is he on Pinterest after games?
Matt Rule's reward for being truly awful in Carolina is a new job and millions of dollars. Wonder why black coaches would be mad at that. I mean, what a sham. Seriously. And then you see this thing where Cadillac Williams is the assistant coach at Auburn, and he's given a great speech to the guys before the game. He doesn't get the job.
What a great speech for the guys.
I would run through a wall for Cadillac Williams. He's been a coach there forever. They showed video of him delivering a speech to his guys.
I know the speech you're talking about.
You don't get the job?
He was emotional, but it's okay. But a video speech is what you're giving these jobs on now?
I mean, experience. He's been an assistant coach there for a bunch of years. He knows the school.
It was hugely important that you signed Lane Kiffin to the extension because he had only just signed an extension 8 months prior. So you got to make sure to lock him up even further.
Death, taxes, and Kim Bocamper hosting the Dolphins Coaches Show at 11 a.m. on WFOR Miami.
It's a good run.
Kimbo,
good run, Kimbo.
I mean,
hell of a run.
That show is always there for me.
Hell of
it's
a
a different
run.
coach just about every other year.
Local television is dying, but Kimbo is there with a new coach, and now he's got the coach everybody wants.
He's still massive, Kimbo.
Mike Ryan has never been as much in love with a coach as he is with Mike McDaniel. Never. Not a one. Not a one that you have believed in the way you believed in Mike McDaniel.
How many people do you think Kim Bocamper bullied in his life that looked like Mike McDaniel?
I was one of them. I don't look like McDaniel, but he absolutely bullied me in negotiations. I mean, he did.
How hard is it for him to not deliver a noogie? Just he wants to give that dude a wedgie so bad in the worst way, and yet he has to interview him with respect.
Mike, if I give Bocamper 17 games today, do you think he gets 10 sacks?
100%.
He can at least maintain the assignment, like keep gap integrity. I think he can do that.
It's his thickness. He's twice as big as Mike McDaniel, correct? He's twice.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about
no,
gap
but I'm
integrity.
saying physically as a human being, I'm saying that Kim Bocamper weighs twice as much as Mike McDaniel.
Weight easy. How many times do you think, like, when they did it early on in the season, preseason, whatever, when McDaniel came in and sat down, that he said something along the lines of, "When's Coach getting here?" A couple times, right?
That was a PA.
Right. Spoiler alert, Mike Ryan said the Canes would start next season 1-0.
No, I didn't.
You didn't say that.
No, I said that Miami is starting 1-0 next year.
Oh.
I guarantee you that.
What does that mean?
I bet my life on it.
My bad.
Miami is starting 1-0 in college football next year. I'll bet my life. I
Who
will
is
resign.
their first game? Which FCS team?
I will resign from the. They're playing an FBS team.
Playing Miami of Ohio.
Oh, it's a rhetorical trick.
I see. Well,
They still might lose that though.
I'm not going anywhere.
Well, Miami's
I'm gonna live forever.
what's the trick?
Where's your toilet paper bet? When's that?
Yeah, I
gonna-
gotta do that. I'm still shopping.
At your own leisure?
Well, I'm on it, guys. I'm beholden to myself, and I will make sure this thing happens. Maybe bowl season.
Stash this away in the something to ponder file. Did Justin Fields enjoy that result as much as Zach Wilson hated it? We don't need to discuss it now. Just stash it away for a rainy day. Mike McDaniel, do me a favor. Don't ever leave the back door that wide open again. They took all the starters out. They're minus 14. They got to minus 14, by the way. And all of a sudden, it's 30-15. I'm sweating it out. Don't do that.
Stugotz loves the 14-point favorite.
I do. They covered.
Did you bet Kansas City yesterday?
I sure did. Anthony Schwartz, 31-yard touchdown run. Muzzle. I could be wrong, but it feels like the Browns are 11-0 in the first 5 minutes of games this season. Brooklyn Nets, dangerous. Trevor Lawrence, coming out party. Whoever has to play the Titans coming off a loss, I'm sorry. Oh, they're at the Eagles. Never mind. Let's play a little what if. What if DJ Moore didn't take his helmet off? Game out. In their last 20 games, the New Jersey Devils are 18-2. You know what the Devils always remind me of, Dan?
I do not.
They remind me of Helen Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
I've got some more college football stuff to get to here, Stugotz, as we devour all things related to football, because we're just going to skip by Hugh Freeze is back in the game. We don't care about.
I mean, he got it done at Liberty, I think.
Did he? Because every time I look up now, Liberty's losing by 30 points.
I think he was at Liberty. Was he?
Okay,
All right.
oh, yes, he was coaching.
The Bells.
He was coaching from the press box at Liberty. Something else that happened in professional football yesterday that we skipped over. I don't know, Mike, did you have time for Sean Taylor's statue unveiling, or did it get swallowed by all your college or all your professional football and football coverage?
I had time for that. It was a topic of discussion. A lot of people, I think, rightfully took offense to how lazy this display was. I understand art is subjective sometimes, and statue to some may look more like a shopping mannequin, but the level of care they decided to not put into this tribute. You're immortalizing a great player, a player that your franchise often continues to kind of grift off of. It's the one good PR you guys could have, and yet
it's macabre, right? It's macabre.
They keep botching it, and the way that they botched it this time was it's not much of a statue. It looks more like a mannequin, and they didn't even care for continuity. Dude's got the old football team helmet on, fine. That's a helmet that he wore, okay. We don't have to say the football team's name. A Nike jersey in which he never wore, Reebok pants, and Adidas soccer cleats. The socks aren't even connecting. It is just so hastily put together. It's almost as if you took a group of middle school kids and gave them an art project and said, give me back a Sean Taylor statue within the next 30 minutes. This is supposed to have an element of care to it. Why every time this franchise, I guess you can remember when I said how you do anything is how you do everything? You can say that about the Washington football team, because even their tributes to the late Sean Taylor have routinely missed the mark, whether it's a photo op in front of garbage cans and porta potties, whether it's Jackson Mahomes doing a TikTok dance on his number, whether it's this embarrassment of a statue, that Washington football franchise has continually dropped the ball. Anytime they're trying to use Sean Taylor's good name for good press, they find a way to not only insult his legacy, but the people that loved watching him. I was so... At this point, Dan Snyder's out the door. It was so emblematic. Why even give that assignment to this franchise and to the people running it right now? Because they've shown you time and time again they'll botch it.
Stugotz, it's an interesting appraisal here where all you're asking, it's such a bare minimum ask on decency, which is if you're going to actually try to honor the life of someone who meant something to you and not feel like you're just grifting off of the tragedy because you don't have any good publicity. So let's trot out a guy who died too young as a conquering hero, a relic of the last time the team was any good and was unquestionably great. That person's story would come through Miami, and it's unusual, Stugotz, because you hear the way that Miami players who played with him talk about Sean Taylor before his death, like an athlete among athletes. He gets to Washington, and he dies too young. Home invasion in his own home. He gets shot on an artery in the leg and just dies. The bare minimum ask that you're asking of the toxic workplace of Washington is, can you just honor the man's death with a modicum of care?
Some thought, some care, some attention to detail.
Just a modicum of care. Can you care the bare minimum if you're going to grift off his legacy, if you're going to trot out honors and you're going to make it something to celebrate, can you at least treat us with the decency to treat his memory with some care, some decency?
But you guys are upset about this, and I was upset about it as well. Sean Taylor, many people will say he's the greatest safety ever, was great off the field as well. But what do you expect from Daniel Snyder? What do you expect from that organization at this point?
Is Daniel Snyder
attention to detail?
Wait, is Daniel Snyder team leader? This is so hastily done. It doesn't.
It was terrible.
I'd just rather them not do something. We were hanging out. There's not a look at me, Louie, but we were hanging out with one of Sean's former teammates recently as he got the news, and he was deeply insulted by this. Every time they miss the mark and they find a way to insult the man and his fans. Why is it? They've tried this 3 different times.
It is. It's weird that each time there's been something that has been done wrong, and as soon as this one comes out, Stugotz, it seemed like the people were most offended by Nike top, Reebok pants, Adidas shoes.
It's emblematic of how little they care. I think that's important. We can't wear a uniform that he wore. We can't even pay attention to the smallest, slightest detail. It just looks like a clearance rack. It looks like a clearance rack with how they put that thing together. Just don't do it. Leave it for the new owners.
Let's do funniest thing from the sports weekend here.
Hey, people, tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
Chris Whittingham, what do you got? What is the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Qatar being the first country eliminated from the FIFA World Cup after 2 games.
We knew they were bad, no?
No, actually. They were the champions of Asia in 2019. They performed well at the 2021 CONCACAF Gold Cup. They've been playing a bunch of games against European teams in the build-up to the tournament to try and get themselves familiar with the level. And
they have several naturalized citizens because their own soccer players, and not to throw too much shade on that because the U.S. was guilty of that.
France does that. Every country does this.
Every country does this, but they really invested in importing players. And to go out as a First Nation is a horrific embarrassment.
Yeah, it was 12 years of build-up for 2 games.
They're the first ever host nation to lose 2 matches within the group stage. Their first 2 matches within the group stage. Nothing. They had all this pomp, all this circumstance, everything to get excited for, and their own nation gave them nothing to be excited about.
And the crazy thing was watching the Qataris that were in the crowd leave the game early, like sort of an embarrassment. And by the end of the game, they were playing in front of no one. You would never see that in almost any other host country. South Africa went out in the group in 2010, but their fans are with them to the end. They had some cool moments. This was a completely came and went, nothing happened World Cup for Qatar, which is a complete embarrassment considering the amount of money they spent on it.
And you're laughing at them. You're petty laughing.
I mean,
at
come
them.
on, Dan. Of all the teams in the tournament to go out in the group stage after 2 games, Qatar, considering what it means to them, considering the amount that they've poured into this, they went out in 2 games. Brilliant.
Tony, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Dan, it was the Jaguars mascot inexplicably being in a Speedo. I didn't really get what it was. It was just the mascot head and a dude in a Speedo.
Shredded.
But why? What was he had an American flag Speedo on?
It was wild.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Are we sure that
Jags
wasn't
sneaky
just
good,
a
though.
furry who rushed the field?
Billy, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Mike Purcell of the Broncos yelling at Russell Wilson in the middle of the game as Russ was going back out onto the field.
The only surprise in that game is that it wasn't 13-10 in the fourth quarter. That the Broncos couldn't even muster the 10. They had a turnover inside the 5-yard line. They still couldn't score a touchdown.
Did you guys see? I think I saw this correctly. The Seattle Raiders game was a lot of fun, but I'm pretty sure there's an explanation for what I'm about to say. Derek Carr throws an interception. The Seahawks are on the ground and then running the ball in the other direction and need blocking. And a Seahawk who wasn't in the game came off the bench and just ran out there and started blocking. And I don't think the referee saw it. And so I'm guessing there were 10 men on the field before that. And for some reason, he just went back in the play. But it looked like someone who was not in the game just decided, I'm going out there, and just ran on the field and started blocking.
We actually saw something like this in the World Cup, in that there was a goalkeeper for Morocco that was out there. His name is Bono. He was out there for the national anthem. And then 25 minutes go by, and the commentators acknowledge, hey, where's Bono? It was a different goalkeeper. They just yanked him off after the anthem. I had never seen that before in my entire life.
Didn't announce a sub. Don't know if it counted as a sub.
Don't know if it counts as a sub.
The guy was out there for the anthem, took the team photo, walked off, new goalkeeper in.
And nobody noticed.
And they still haven't found what they're looking for.
Jessica, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Middle Tennessee on social media saying that the state of Miami is ours. They beat Miami, FIU, and FAU this season. And they're going bowling.
Mike Ryan, funniest thing from the sports
The
weekend.
mascot fight. Did you see the mascot fight? That was intense between Arizona and Arizona State. Always unsettling whenever I watch Arizona State during the daytime. This has been 2 straight weeks. I'd gone my entire life without seeing them play in the sun. And now it's 2 straight weeks. Them and Oregon State, never get to see them during the daytime. Stop doing that. It's very unsettling. But we got to see in all its beauty 2 mascots really go at it. The videos are quite shocking.
Do you guys have an explanation for me on why a Seattle Seahawk would run off of the bench and just start blocking on a play he
The
wasn't
idea
in?
is he thought that it was a dead ball. It was because it was an interception, so he thought that it was a dead ball. He was going to celebrate, and then realized the play continued, so just started throwing blocks.
Great
watching it now,
improvisational
yes.
skills.
He thought the play was over. Yeah.
I'm still thinking about this Bono guy. I guess they just decided they were going to play with or without him.
Stugotz, what is the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
There was a Penn State player on the sideline, Dan, caught on camera mouthing to a teammate, "We need to cover." College sports, man.
Really?
It's semi-pro sports, and of course, there's going to be more and more of that.
I'm sure that won't require any further investigation.
Who cares?
I was thinking about that.
Just let it. We're all. I mean, Hugh Freeze is back. Hugh Freeze is back. Let's just go. Let's stop with the pretense. Let's just stop. We're all here because everyone's gambling. Let's just knock it off.
I mean, they did win 2-0 over Belgium, a really good team. So they played without a Bono, but they certainly played with an edge.
Is Shams Hoop Central? Is that something that broke?
No, Hoop Central is an aggregator.
But you're sure that Shams isn't the one that's running it?
No, Shams is Shams.
Yeah. Confirmed.
I'm not sure why Shams would have a burner.
Neither was I, but I think a lot of people.
Oh,
were...
Dan, you're fooled by the internet.
Again?
Yeah.
Oh no. What
Yeah.
happened?
This is via a new one of these that has a name that
What's it called?
I don't want to say out loud.
What is it?
Oh, that's
Oh, it's cock sources.
Tony, are you ready to do the top 5? Your top
Wait,
5
what did he get?
observations?
What did he get fooled by?
Yeah, it says here, this is an image. It says exposed. An Instagram screenshot shows that Shams Charania runs Hoop Central on Twitter. First-time reporter runs 1 million follower burner account since the NBA-ABA merger, parenthetically, 1976, via the aforementioned outlet.
But Mike, you're reporting Shams is Shams.
I can confirm this.
Okay.
Tony, are you ready for the top 5 weekend observations on football?
Oh, Dan, I was born ready.
All right.
Hold on. Let me
Let me get the music. And we actually have
You guys
extra.
are always born ready, but I'm never told that this is coming. Hang on, I gotta expect.
It's every
Staple.
Monday. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
staple every
staple.
Monday. I don't know
Every
why.
Don't have
Monday.
to get ready if you stay ready.
If you're born ready, you don't have to get ready.
Was I was wondering if I was also fooled by the internet on that Chinese marathoner who chain smokes. He's doing 3.5 hours.
That was real.
That one's true.
That was real. He's my idol.
I saw that.
It's also not Shams.
Is that real or or was I fooled?
No, it is. Stugotz said, get him for Stupati. I go, Stugotz, he's an old man in China.
I wanted him. Or God bless football. It doesn't matter.
He's
Just
picking
get
games
him.
with Jabba Chamberlain next week.
You're telling me that there is a marathoner.
Chris Gronkowski, Jabba Chamberlain, and the chain-smoking marathon
Maybe
runner.
Drew Rosen.
And Austin Eckler.
Yes. Game-winning touchdown.
Hey, the jinx. The jinx doesn't exist.
The Chinese chain smoker exists.
Yes. Yep. 3.5 hours.
We're getting him on just to get his brother.
Time now for Tony's top 5
Good
observations.
idea, Mike.
Dano, what a week.
Was it? Mike didn't even have time for
Well,
the
Mike,
week
the
because
thing
he's
is,
too much.
Mike says he reps all 32, but when you rep all 32, you really love the sport.
The problem is Mike makes soccer a priority.
Exactly.
The rest of us don't. We only care about the United States games. Mike cares about all the games, okay?
Look, I had a little TV watching Spain versus Germany, but it was a little TV.
Little TV.
Big TV was real football. And yeah, that's right, real football. And I wasn't here last week, so I didn't have my observations for last week. So I'm going to give you a little bit extra. Yeah, a little over the top here. We're going to start with the OLI.
Everybody's asking for it.
Good, I'm glad. End of an era.
Billy, why are you making faces?
I mean,
Oh, who cares about Billy? Dan, this is more important.
so
Doesn't
wait,
matter about Billy.
The extras, are they from last week or
No,
they're
they're
just
from this
extra
week.
for this
Extra
week?
from this
Oh,
week,
good.
yeah, because you didn't get from last week.
So this is OLI.
This is
for
OLI
this week.
for this
Okay,
week.
Got it.
End of an era? Question mark.
Where?
Green Bay.
Well, his thumb is broken, right?
Thumb is broken. Maybe some ribs. He took off his pads and stuff, and he was walking to the locker room. Didn't look great. Looked a little rotund.
Didn't he say he thought he punctured a lung?
Maybe.
He didn't.
End of
Aaron
an era, though.
Rodgers looked rotund.
Looked a little rotund, Dan, on one of the angles. Looked a little.
Yeah, I'm starting to think Aaron Rodgers is bad body language.
Would a broken thumb not explain how a 2-time reigning MVP would go to being bad?
It most certainly would. So would bad wide receivers, but also historically, 38 also does that. So which is which?
There's also been reports on long-term effects of ayahuasca on your body.
I don't think that's what that is. No biggie. Another OLI. And Primo does it on prime time. Very exciting for a team. I think it's
Cousins.
just me. Yeah.
Cousins, yes. Just El Primo does it on prime time. He
I don't think
wins.
there's anybody else on the bandwagon. Just me and him.
Justin Jefferson, Stugotz, I'm curious whether we're able to do this as it's happening in real time. Micah Parsons is in a conversation now, 12 plus sacks first 2 seasons with like just Reggie White and Aldon Smith. And Justin Jefferson has more yards through 3 seasons than Randy Moss. Can you just look at that and say that Justin Jefferson is one of the best receivers ever? Like, and no, if he doesn't play another game.
Would he be considered one of the best wide receivers ever after three seasons?
I'm saying after 3 seasons, he's
Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame after 6 seasons. No, I need more than 3.
What I'm asking you, I'm not asking you more than 3. What I'm asking you is, are you ever willing to allow that greatness, as soon as it arrives, is historically great when the numbers show you it, or do you insist on waiting because you need more years? Because Justin Jefferson doing through 3 years what Randy Moss did, I can call it. Justin Jefferson is indisputably one of the best people to ever do that for a living.
That's fair. Yeah, I could say that. I said it about Randy Moss when I saw him for the first time. I'm like, wow, that guy is one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen.
But we're not good at that for some reason.
No.
We're not good.
Well, we need to see it play out.
You need more than 3 years.
Right.
If you were doing this, you'd swear Steve Francis was going to be one of the greatest basketball players ever.
No, but Mike, Stevie franchise. But Mike, you can say this, okay? You can say Justin Jefferson is one of the best you've ever seen do it, even if it ends tomorrow.
At his best, like people.
Right.
Oh. Guys, I don't even know if he's at his peak. Seems like he's still ascending.
But you could say that
you could
about
do that about Cooper Kupp.
You could do it about Josh Gordon for a season. You could do it about Odell Beckham for a season.
Yeah, but you just isolate those to seasons because you can't say it. Josh Gordon's a great example. You can't say it about Josh Gordon, just like you can't say it about Aldon Smith. You said that Micah Parsons in a class with Reggie White and Aldon Smith. They don't talk about Aldon Smith that way because all the suspensions that he served.
If people are doing like top 5 wide receivers of all time, Jefferson's not there yet. I'm with you. I understand what you're saying, but he's not going to be in that conversation.
What I'm saying is that we will never allow somebody 3 years in to be in that conversation.
Probably
it's not allowed.
Yeah.
It's not a probably. It's not allowed.
Tragedy's the only way that you can do that.
I mean,
You
Tua's
can say-
getting there.
You can say Derek Thomas is one of the greatest pass rushers you've ever
But that's
seen.
not 3 seasons.
You can
That's-
say Sean Taylor is one of the greatest safeties you've ever seen. But no, you got to. Otherwise, you're going to get Brady Anderson. You never know.
But aren't we talking about like peak performance though? We're talking about someone at like their very highest level was better than anyone else's very highest level. We're not talking about sustained excellence over time. We're saying in the moment that person is putting together a season or a caliber of performance that I've never seen before.
We don't allow it. We won't allow it. You can have more yards than Randy Moss, and we're like, prove it again next season. We don't do it.
Well, that's because Moss did, Dan. He came back the next season and did it again.
But you announced when it happened. You felt plenty comfortable because he was taking strides that were eating up 5 yards with 2 steps, and he ran nothing but 17 go routes for touchdowns his first season. You felt confident saying right then and there, that's like Jerry Rice-like.
But I did the same thing with Michael Vick, and he turned out not to be one of the greatest quarterbacks
But you could
I've
still
ever
say
seen.
he's one of the greatest athletes you've ever seen without
Definitely.
making him one of the best quarterbacks.
Anquan Bolden was on a historical pace his first 3 seasons.
Tony, get this under control. We're still on the OLI.
This is football talk. I love it. What are we talking about?
Jeez.
All right, the last number one of the OLI, Josh Jacobs, bell cow.
Wow.
That's just a little, that's a little hors d'oeuvre.
What do you just say, that the Raiders running game will carry them to 4 or 5 wins?
What, he said that or I said that?
You're saying that.
I'm
they
saying
have
he's
4.
a bell cow back, Dano. I'm saying that you can put him anywhere and he's going to take the mail and take it all the way home.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, neither.
That's
Doesn't
what
matter.
bell cows do. They take the mail and take
Yeah.
it all the way home.
Yeah.
What, I don't know what
Kind of
that
more
means.
like a
taking
mailman,
them-
I think.
We're not even doing mail very much anymore.
Josh Jacobs, mailman.
Number 5.
Number 5. I told you guys in week 7, and it's also ranked true. Bengals gotten hot at the right time.
The Titans. I thought you guys told me Titans is a home dog. Magic. Vrabel can't be stopped. What happened to that?
Classic reverse jinx.
Number 4.
Chiefs yawn to a 26 points. Like they just do whatever they want all the time and just score 27 points, 26 points. It doesn't matter.
Still, I thought an alien had landed on the field when Mahomes threw an interception right at a Rams defender.
It was
like
weird.
it was weird. Straight to him.
You know what happened to him, right? He didn't see him.
Yeah.
They were directly in front of
Behind
one
each
another.
other, right.
Yeah,
He was bored.
He was distracted by the alien.
For me, the other one, the other interception that I saw that was like that was Aaron Rodgers, the one that he threw down the field, and even the NBC camera caught that you couldn't
was
see
hidden.
this Eagles defender, and all of a sudden up he pops, and he's there to intercept the ball.
It was like hidden by the
camera
wall.
caught it. Where it's like when you're watching him going, how did you not see that person? But the camera actually showed how Aaron Rodgers could not have seen that person on the field.
It's crazy. They're doing this out on that field, wearing helmets that are restricting their vision, all while someone's trying to kill them. Football's hard. It's a very hard thing. That's a tough position. Respect to quarterbacks.
You mentioned Kansas City, and Kelsey on one play, Stugotz, was being guarded by Jalen Ramsey, and not well by Jalen Ramsey because Kelsey can't be guarded by anybody. And he gets to the 7-yard line, and it's clear he wants to, because they can, and it's fun. He wants to pitch it. And then he decides, you know what, not prudent. So he's about to be tackled at the 7-yard line and says, never mind, and just goes into the end zone because he's too big. Because he's too big to be able to tackle.
Tony, your list always get people talking, man.
Yep. Kelsey might be the MVP this year, by the way.
Number 3.
It's close.
Yeah.
I want everybody to close their eyes for a second.
Okay.
Everybody close your eyes. Now picture a world where the commies are 7-5 and in the mix in the wild card. Open your eyes. Yeah. It's here.
Yes,
this is what it is.
Yep.
Commies are 7-5.
Ron Rivera,
the Green Lizard,
Coach of the year.
doing it again.
Heineke.
I mean, come on. What else does he have to prove to you guys?
At the goal line.
Their defense is legit good, man.
Yes, Mariota. How Atlanta was that finish?
The NFC East has 4 playoff teams right now.
Yeah.
Number 2.
We've seen this movie before. Stu's definitely seen this movie before. The Mike White experiment.
What was that sound?
Not sold on it.
Not sold on it. 31 points.
31 points, Dan. But let's harken back to a time not too far in the past where Mike White had a 400.
Should we close our eyes and picture that time?
You could close your eyes if you want.
He had,
All right.
he had 4 or 5 interceptions.
He had like a 400 yard and 4 touchdown performance.
Yes.
And then the next week got pulled for Josh Johnson.
But he also wasn't his last game 4 or 5 interceptions?
Yeah, that's the one he got yanked for Josh Johnson against the Colts, I think, on Thursday night.
Number 1.
No, now fast forward
I don't
here.
wanna keep doing this.
The movie. Yeah, now we're fast forwarding the movie, Dan. We've seen this movie before. Him being good on a 1-game sample. All of a sudden they play a team. He throws 4 or 5 picks. All of a sudden, Josh Johnson's out there. Is he on the team anymore?
I'm not certain. They have the Vikings at 1 o'clock next week, though, I think.
Against the Primo?
They're only 3-point underdogs with Mike White at quarterback away at the Vikings.
The Jets are good.
Yep.
The betting lines are telling you that money is coming in on the Jets.
They've also been really undervaluing the Vikings intentionally. They don't think the Vikings are that good. They're only 2.5 point home favorites against the Patriots, which they covered, and they were home underdogs to the Cowboys. So for these last 3 home games, Vegas has been telling you they don't think much of the Vikings.
Well, Stugotz, will Sauce Gardner have anything to do about Justin Jefferson?
Wow, that's going to be a great matchup. I don't like this game because of what Tony said. Mike White, second game. The Vikings are good. They're underrated. It's 1 o'clock. Kirk Cousins. Like, this has all the makings for a Jets disaster. Sauce Gardner can guard anyone. That much I will tell you. Like, Dan, I'm not certain he's not the best quarterback in the NFL.
Well, now he's the greatest ever, though. You're willing to do that.
Well, Revis is the greatest ever.
But if you're not doing it to Jefferson, and now you've made Sauce Gardner, if he can guard him, the greatest ever in 4 games.
Josh Johnson is with the Broncos, it looks like.
They should yank Russell Wilson for Josh Johnson. Number 1, Dano.
Number 1.
Doug Peterson? More like Dog Peterson.
Come on, get out of here.
I mean, going for in that spot against the Ravens. Dan, I was very excited.
About, Mike?
I was very excited.
You've done very well recently with the puns. I'm still trying to get over all the U2 ones.
Evan McPherson? The GOAT? He's a kicker. I mean, Tom Brady's bed's still warm. Tom Brady just left.
You're the greatest of all time. You're the greatest of all time. He's beautiful in every way. It's out of control.
He throws the ball most accurately and won 7 rings.
So good at backing. He's been to our decade teams.
A 6-round draft pick with a chip on his shoulder and a dimple on his chin.